Good evening, everyone. Good evening for those of you that are watching us via YouTube and those of you in person. Today is Tuesday, May 17th, 2022, and we want to call to order the special meeting of the South Euclid Lyndhurst Board of Education, our work session for June. It is now 5:36. Mr. Hill, may we get a roll call?
Ms. Falkenberg,
Ms. Falkenberg is on an excused absence today.
Mrs. Jones,
Here.
Ms. King,
Here.
Ms. Lee,
Here.
Mrs. Brown.
Here. Perfect. We will go right into our discussion items. We have the infamous Sylvia Marshall present to talk about our summer academy for SEL this year. You're on.
Yeah, we're gonna put you up first, Ms. Mark. Do you need to bring up any presentation?
Yes, I believe we're getting that started, but,
Okay.
while we're getting that started, just definitely want to, say thank you. I know some people around the table aren't here, but definitely to both of our assistant superintendents. Their offices have been tremendous in working with me. Mr. Hill, worked with me with the budget. He likes to shut me down, but he's letting us have this experience. And of course, superintendent, board and all of you. So those who don't know that this program that we're doing, Summer Academy, this is our second year. So this came right out of our, let me make sure I said it correctly, recovery, revitalization, and reopening plan.
Okay.
The triple R.
Yes, the triple R, which is a 3-year plan. So when we go through the presentation, you'll be able to see some ways it relates to what's in that plan. We're definitely adding a little bit more this year, because one of the big things is about there's some things that we need to reopen as a district now that we have made it successfully through this year after, last year with all of its changes. So, you can let me know when you're ready to start the presentation, but, he's pulling it up, but I can keep talking.
Well, and you can't, to help you out, just for those of you that don't know Ms. Marshall like we do, she is, her day job is an assistant principal at Roland.
Right.
And, last year she was the Summer Academy principal and did a really good job, so we are bringing her back for more. And she does a lot more for the district as well, so.
Yes, so, those who are watching at home, hello. I know I sent this out to our Summer Academy staff and our Summer Academy families. I hope you're able to join in with us today. So, Summer Academy 2022, where we are wild about learning. You see the outfit, you see the shirt. So, can I click through?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let me make sure. Okay, so first, the infant. Time for those people on the waiting list. I know I'm still getting emails and things like that. So there still be time for those people on the waiting list. Some people, because we sent this out in April. So if people change their mind, if people have some attendance problems or things like that, up until the second week, we will be checking on our waiting list and hopefully getting all those students in that we can get in. With kindergarten, we had a large, as you can see, number of kindergartners wanting to participate. So we did our best to accommodate as many as we can, knowing that our kindergartners are really those that were really hit by COVID hard, so we wanted to really give them the opportunity. So all of our grade levels have 4 teachers. Those 4 teachers all will have 15 students. And kindergarten, they will have 5 teachers. And you'll see that in a second. You can also see our participation. Most of our students are staying for camp, so that's 339. So we are very excited about the families that are joining us, a very diverse population, and we are excited to work with each and every family. he will always tell me that you are as great as the people you hired. So we have a tremendous staff, and I thank all of them wholeheartedly for committing to this summer. We know you can be doing a lot of things, but you're hanging with us, and so we are just ecstatic about that. So far, we have 2 dean of students, we have 25 classroom teachers, and something that makes our program unique is our intervention specialists. We have 5 intervention specialists who are still able to work in small groups, able to push in, able to pull out with our grade level. So that's something that makes us unique, and thank you, Mrs. Moles, for allowing that to happen. We also have 4 encore teachers, and this is a big part of our RRR plan that I mentioned earlier. One of the things that we know happened during COVID is that a lot of our younger students, they lost the opportunity to participate in arts and sports and music. And a big thing you're going to be excited about, I know music is one of the big things that we're doing. So we actually have Mrs. Pate, who is over at Greenview. So she is planning a phenomenal music experience for our students. Thanks to Mr. Hill for approving that budget again. Keep shouting you out, Mr. Hill. And I'm gonna tell the parents at home, send him a card. He approves my budget. We want this to keep going. So this is our staff. Once again, like I said, we love celebrating our staff. What we did, myself, Dean of Students, Jerome Jackson, Damaris Winters, we went around and we gave each teacher their own personal thank you. And we bought some thank yous for our superintendents today, but since we will hand those out real quick. So thank you. You 3 were wondering why you didn't have a mask. You had something a little bit more special. So we just want to say again, we have amazing staff in South Euclid Lyndhurst. They're all excited, ready, and willing. Not only our teachers, we have about 5 out-of-district teachers. So we have teachers want to come in to be a part of our academy. So we thank those teachers as well for giving of their time. Oops, sorry, went too far. Oh, it's skipping it. All right, our curriculum. Parents at home, I know you have heard this, iReady, parents here. So this was our first year with iReady. As teachers, as administrators, we learned a lot about it, and we used it mostly just for collecting data at our critical points. And so what we are going to do, and we thank iReady so much, they are letting us pilot this. I saved you money. They're letting us pilot this, their actual curriculum. So we are getting what's called the toolbox. So thanks to Mrs. Bishko, Mrs. Bucks, they have been working through and pulling out where we're going to target. We're going to look at the end of the year data that we're finished collecting next week, and we're going to be able to target some specific skills in each grade band. And then we're going to be able to pull from the iReady curriculum to target those skills. So we are definitely excited. This is going to be our major curriculum going through the summer. We still have some books and things that we're going to put in the hands of students. But so parents, one thing you need to know is Chromebooks. Every day, Chromebooks charge. Please send those in with students. I know we had talked about the transition. If from 3rd to 4th, we will let you know what to do with your Chromebook and whether to keep it, and we'll give you more information on that. I'm sorry, I'm gonna take a sip of water. Now, the most exciting piece, we said we're still reopening things. So we are going to take one of the first field trips. So we are trying a field trip this summer.
Can I chaperone?
Can you? Yes, you may.
Okay.
Please. And parents, there might be opportunities for you to chaperone as well. So we are going to take advantage of the free Mondays. And we are going to, so we're not in session on the 20th because that's a holiday celebrating Juneteenth. But each of the other 3 Mondays, we will take 2 grade levels to the zoo with their classroom teachers. They will actually stay the whole time. So those parents who normally pick up at 1 o'clock on just that specific day, we will ask you to pick up your child at the 3:30 time so that they can experience everything at the zoo with their class. So that's something that we're excited about. Oh, thank you, transportation. I'm sorry, Lee Heitman, thank you so much for organizing transportation. Appreciate you and all the bus drivers out there as well. So some of the things that our family wants to know. I'm so tempted to walk to the board. I'm just used to being up there. So our daily schedule. So arrival is 8:30. So between 8:30 and 8:45, we will be meeting the students outside the front of Greenview by the flagpole. You won't be able to miss us. Sometimes there's music playing. Believe me, you will know where to drop your students off. The students will come in. They still have free breakfast. So they'll grab their breakfast bags and they'll go to class. And we'll do the morning meetings. So with the morning meetings, two dean of students, so Jerome Jackson, he works with our K2 students. Damaris Winters, he works with our 3-5 students. So what they do in the morning while the students are eating breakfast is they come on a live Google Meet that teachers will log in on, and they start their day with some conscious discipline, getting their minds ready, getting their hearts ready to learn. My message is always pre-recorded, so the teachers will play my message, then they'll hop on to the Google Meets, and so we can get that social, emotional piece and just get them focused, get them ready for the day. All students will have an hour of ELA. Then, of course, a moving break. This is summer. We want them still up and moving. Then they'll have an hour of math. This runs typically like a regular school day, just with a lot more fun, you know, that you can't normally do, you know, during the school year. So we will have lunch and recess, still a free lunch. If you want to pack, you are more than welcome to pack a lunch. We will have boom time. So boom time is like our exciting encore time. And we have 6 providers that we work with through Melissa Thompson's office. So they come in, and then this is our encores get involved. So each student will be able to experience some fun and learning. Even those students who don't stay for camp, they'll get to experience some activities during that boom time. So at 1 o'clock, those students who are not staying at camp, they will get picked up. If they ride the bus, then they will be dropped off by the bus. We'll talk about transportation in one moment. Then 1 to 3:25, camp activities begin. And something new with camp activities, because we have this beautiful facility over here at Brush, we are actually going to be using Brush as well. So our 2nd through 5th grade students, when they have a sports week, they're actually going to come over to Brush. They're going to be able to use our fields, our new gyms, and work with our varsity coaches, some of the students off of those teams. So we will actually be giving them that experience that, you know, they don't often get to come over here. So we want them to see what they're in SEL for. We want them to see the end goal is to get here to Brush, so that their first time walking in the Brush is not 8th and 9th grade. They can always say, you know, oh, I went to Brush when I was in 2nd grade. So we are definitely excited about that piece. And then we will, so half our kids will come over here because we have different color groups for camp. And then the rest will be at Greenview, where we will have different activities going on. And you'll see a little bit more about that later. Summer Academy supply list. If you can't get everything on the supply list, that is perfectly fine. But backpack, like I said, Chromebook is one of the most important with your headphones. Some students they bring home from school. So if you can get those, that would be awesome. In addition, a notebook, just in case you're taking notes, especially the upper grades. Some crayons, scissors, pencils, glue, some of the basic supplies. Like I said, if you can't get everything, get what you can. That will definitely be helpful for us. I know I'm going through and I see you guys looking at me. I'm not doing mine. Any questions?
I just figured we wait to the end.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm being respectful. Yeah, questions at home, you know how to email me. You've been doing fine at that. Okay, it's going kind of fast again. Hold on.
When we go back one.
Okay. Oh, are you clicking or?
No, not clicking, no.
Oh.
I can do this if you want.
All right, here we go. Transportation. So pickup spots for the summer. You can see all elementary schools, our community parks, our fields, Memorial is on there. So transportation rules still apply, just like if it was a regular school time. Arrive at the stop 10 minutes before, just be on time for those stops, those pickup times. You must be with your child until the bus arrives. That is a safety thing. It's still early in the morning. We do not want any students getting hurt. And then when the bus comes back for drop off, you can see the middle column or the second column is without camp, the drop off, and then if they're staying for camp, you can see the drop off. I might have to check those without camp. Those look a little off, but I will check that for you. But we just ask that you be there to pick up your child, especially the little ones. This might be their first time riding the bus, and as always, repeated tardies or not being there is a loss of privilege from transportation. And what will also happen, they will bring them back to Greenview to me if you're not at the bus stop, and then you will have to pick them up from Greenview. So we just ask, please respect our bus drivers and their time. You will receive, you will receive a letter, you will receive all this information, all the parents. I will be sending all of this out after the presentation for anyone watching or watching at a later time, so that you have a copy of this for your records. We talked about Encore. Once again, all students, regardless if they do camp or not, will have the opportunity to participate in music, art, and PE activities along with our providers during that boom time. Extended camp, like I mentioned, we will have sports at Brush. We have special guests coming in. I know if you watched the board minutes before, I thank you all for approving our request, working with Flowers Entertainment. Like we said, a lot about learning, so we will have a lot of special guests in. And then just lots of fun, different activities, creating different things, playing. I promise they will come home tired and probably a little hungry too. So just get ready for them to sleep in the car on the way home. And I am going to stop right here for questions, because the last thing we're going to play is just a little clip, so for those parents to see what the Summer Academy experience is like.
Last year, compared to last year, how many of the students stayed the full day? Because you said there was an opportunity. Did a majority of them land up staying the whole day?
Last year?
Yeah.
Yes, we probably dismissed maybe about 15, and that's the same this year. Normally, they sign up for the whole experience. So yeah, we're excited about that. But I can tell you the interest definitely picked up this year, and so we're excited that people believe in the program and want their students to participate. Any more questions?
Just blown. I'm so excited. I wish my kids were younger.
Question?
How many weeks is the summer program?
So the summer program is 4 weeks. We will start June 21st, and we will go Monday through Thursday for 2 weeks. So I believe it is to June 30th. Then we have a week off so that they have a break for that 4th of July week, so they'll have a vacation in there. And then we'll go 2 more weeks. I believe that's July 11th through July 21st. And then they'll have a couple more weeks before school starts back. So it's like they get 2 weeks off, they come for 2 weeks, they get 1 week off, they come for 2 weeks, and then they have about 2 weeks off again before school starts back. So it's definitely not a lot, it's 16 days, but it's definitely a great way just to reduce that summer slide, keep them active and learning, and, get them engaged. And I can tell you, one of the things I hear or I heard from last year is about the students making friends at different buildings. So they're mingling with, Sunview, they're mingling with Adrian, especially at the younger ages, so they're able to, build some relationships, right there. So that was a pretty interesting thing.
That's nice. So when they walk in the green room in 4th grade, they can say, I know that person, and
Right.
it's not totally foreign.
And I'll tell you, I walk into these buildings, K3, and they're like, oh, you're the Summer Academy principal. And they're just so excited, and everybody's like, yeah, I was at Summer Academy. So Summer Academy or summer school used to be looked at as a negative, like no one wanted to go to summer school. but I'm thankful that we're able to adapt it to make it learning and fun. Like, they're going to get their enrichment, they're going to get the intervention, and it's going to be a fun time. So we're definitely excited to have everyone participate. And people at home, if you're watching, let's cheer on our board members, because our board members, they have their masks. So we'll see if they join in the fun. You gonna put your mask on? Are you ready? All right, here we go. Like, you cannot mask. Oh, we have more. You cannot mask your excitement about summer. So I'll let you pass the basket down. So everyone, you can't mask it. Summer Academy is gonna be fun, and we're gonna end with the video. So you can just see some of the fun from the last year.
Camp is fun.
watching later at home, thank you once again. If you have any questions, I'm Miss Marshall. Please just reach out. And I hope you were able to see our wonderful board and administrators in their masks. Yes, they all put them on. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall. You know, we thought last year was Summer Academy, I guess 1.0. I think this is maybe 3.0.
Yeah.
But we, you know, always know she's creative, like the passion for children and the learning it. And as she mentioned, the big team behind and planning it. You know, we thank everybody, and we hope to provide a great learning experience for our children. So with that being said, thank you so much, and we can't wait to come visit you. And I'm going to keep my mask, so when you have that day, I'll come out and make sure I have it on. So thank you. And this is kind of crazy. We're going to go from, and Ms. Marshall, if you have some other things this evening, you are excused to go on with your evening. And now we are gonna turn it over to our treasurer with the 5-year forecast. So you talked about going from fun to serious, so,
I can wear the mask.
you can wear the mask if you want.
Let's make it easy, Josh, make it easy.
Okay, just kind of want to go through a few kind of key points since this is Ms. King's first kind of run through with the forecast. This is done twice a year, and it is done once in what was originally October, and then they moved it to November. And then we have a second submission in the year to kind of look at current year and get more actuals in there from the estimates. And that is done, has to be submitted by the end of May. So, and kind of how I prepared it, kind of transitioning from the previous treasurer to current, kind of looked and went the route of giving you obviously the forecast plus the assumptions, but also preparing a summary page just to kind of collapse all the main key points. And that's kind of what I'll touch on. But at any time, if you need me to go more in depth on a section, if you got questions at all in any of the sections, by all means stop me, or it's kind of strategic how I do it at the org meeting. I do the presentation, give you guys a week to kind of think about it. If you got questions in the interim, by all means reach out, and then we'll put it on for approval next week, next Tuesday at the regular meeting. And then the other thing I want to preface is obviously 5-year forecast. Any 5-year forecast is always assuming kind of worst case scenario. If we're ever coming close to any of these numbers, we're in dire straits in most cases. We always try and overestimate expenditures and underestimate revenue, just to kind of stay in the safe zone. So let's start, we'll go line by line here. Look at general property taxes. This is your real estate property taxes, and it accounts for roughly 78% of overall revenue. This is one of the line items within here that is this is 100% actual. The way our real estate comes in, it's always gonna come in full in August for one half, and then another half will typically get settlement by February timeframe. So this is actually going to be our full year actual collections. So when we look at this, we did see a slight bump from the previous year in this line item, about 2.3 million. That's just due to the additional half-year collections. The way the collections came in for the new levy, it is always going to be split, and it's the difference between calendar year versus fiscal year. We had a half a year in the previous year, and we get the other half this year to kind of bump it up to that other 2.3 million. And the other thing we see within here, overall delinquent collections was roughly 2.6 million, shade over 2.6 million. The good majority of that is, well, 1.2 million of it is commercial delinquencies, and the majority of that had to do with the Bell Oaks project having to be caught up before they continue moving on with the project. So we did get roughly 1.2 million from the Bell Oaks project.
Oh, that was nice. They owed it to us.
So then the actual collected for the total for fiscal year 2022 is 49,879,377, and then the estimate, which year over year I kept it locked in at the same amount for fiscal years 23 through 26, is a total of 48,551,299, and that is a decrease mainly due. I mean, I always take into account obviously economy and people collection percent dropping a little bit, but the main chunk of this is going to be obviously excluding that 1.2 million of collections from the Bell Oaks project. That was a one-time payment, so we exclude that from moving forward year over year. Next line item is unrestricted grants and aid. This accounts for roughly 7.2%. This is going to be your foundation payments. This is our monthly, so when I say that, we've got, and I did cut it off, this does not include April's actuals, and then we still got 2 months with May and June collections for this year. So this has roughly 9-month actual, 3-month estimate in these numbers. So, and we did record roughly a $3.2 million drop so far and projected from fiscal year 21 to 22. That has to do with the transition to the new funding formula. That has to do with the carve-out of your charter schools, your open enrollment dollars. They go directly to the school now. They do not come to us and then get taken out. So I know that looks like an alarming number on its face without. And then the other part that is included in this line item is casino revenue. Now that is the only part of this that is actual collected for fiscal year. We get that typically end of February, early March. So that was roughly 199,000, a little bit over 199,000, and it is still recovering. Last year it dipped during COVID to 135. So it's still recovering. It is bouncing back with the casinos opening back up. And then based on that, then the estimate to finish the year out total will be 4.6 million, a little over 4.6 million for fiscal year 22. And then I also locked that number with the uncertainty of the new funding formula and how it's going to move forward, and the effects of whether or not COVID will have any kind of impact on casino revenue moving forward. I did keep no increase for that for the entire balance of the forecast there for that line item. And the one thing I want to point out too is it would be, I think, easier to estimate what the new funding formula is going to do, but it didn't transition until mid-year this year. So you're seeing a lot of adjustments and backtracking, so you're still seeing some open enrollment pulled out and odd numbers like that through, because we get paid the foundations twice a month, and you still see adjustments from the first half of the year because they were still pulling those out because they were still included. So the next line item, this is your restricted grants and aid. This is the other half of what comes through in the foundation payments, but these are ones that are included within there, such as catastrophic reimbursement, economically disadvantaged, and career tech funding. The total for this is $812,109, and no increase is assumed for the balance of the forecast. This is, again, the same thing. We've got 3 months of estimates, 9 months of actuals within this line. Then the next line, this is property tax allocation, roughly 9% of overall revenue. This line directly correlates, for the most part, directly correlates to your general property tax line. This is where your homestead and rollback reimbursements come back into the forecast for the payments to the state. When I said with a few exceptions, as of the new levy, that new levy does not, it does not get that discount. So we don't get that money back because they don't get the discount up front. So that wouldn't roll here, it would be on that top line.
Say that one more time.
So the homestead and rollback, that does not, any new money passed after, drawing a blank on the year, I think it's after fiscal year 20, did not qualify for homestead and rollback. So when we pass the new levy, does not qualify for that discount.
Gotcha.
So they pay in full up front. We don't get reimbursed from the state, so it would be that top line.
Gotcha, I'm sorry, thank you.
So then total receipt for fiscal year 22, again, this would be the actual collected. There's no estimate in this line because we do receive it, this payment in March. And for fiscal year 22, it was 5.8 million. And then based on that, no increase is assumed for the balance of the forecast for that line item as well. And then the last remaining revenue line, this is all other revenue. This kind of encompasses anything that doesn't fall into those top 4 categories. We did have roughly, well, I'm projecting, because this is the same thing, 3 months of estimate, 9 months of actuals, projecting roughly a $5,000 drop from last year, and basically still due to interest earnings. That's the large majority. I did put in here Medicaid reimbursement, but some of that is still trickling in, so I wouldn't be shocked if that catches up. But interest earnings for all of our investment accounts are still staggered, still recovering from COVID. Doing our best. I do a lot of investing with the commercial paper, which I think kind of mitigated some of the loss if we just would have took the standard interest rate out of a lot of our accounts, but still not to the level of pre-COVID, obviously. We were doing pretty good pre-COVID. So I'll stop there revenue-wise if anybody has any questions before I move on to expenditures. And then, so for expenditures, these are all 3-month estimate with 9 months of actuals. So You get your personal services line item. This is obviously going to be all your people costs. This is going to be any kind of current union contracts, current percent increases that we have under contract. So under this, we had a 3-year contract. We have 2 years balance on that. And so with that, this does assume the percent increase on the base for those years and the step increases, with the balance beyond that in the forecast, assuming just step increases. I never want to assume anything moving forward based on a base, just for that sheer fact. We haven't negotiated yet, so I would never assume that. Then the next line item would be, this is going to be your retirement and benefits, retirement insurance benefits, roughly 22% of overall expenditures. This estimate for fiscal year 2022 is $13.9 million. This is going to include all benefits for current staff, and there are projected individual increases on each one of these. So each one kind of has their overall percent increase with an average increase roughly year over year of roughly 6%. Now, it doesn't mean that, overall 6% for each. It means each individual one averages out to roughly about a 6% increase each year. And then, so for the final 3 here, I did collapse them all in together. You have purchase services, which is roughly 12%, supply materials, roughly 6%, and capital outlay, just under 1%. And so the estimates for fiscal year for 2022 for purchase services is $7.7 million, $2.2 million for supply and materials, and $435,000 for capital outlay. So the spending has been vastly reduced. I apologize, my teeth are chattering. I'm freezing.
Oh, because you guys are right over there.
Right underneath the vent.
Oh,
Right on,
it
you
is.
guys.
So it was vastly reduced, about 800,000, lower than 21. This is due still to, when I got here, I looked at the budgets and said, kind of challenged each one of the buildings to look at them and try and cut 10%. Wasn't never a requirement, but we have always added in the past, never really looked at cuts.
Right.
So, and I knew, obviously, that had, there was only so many years you could do that. We're eventually going to get it to where we need to get it, and then at that point is where we're truly going to start transitioning to what is considered zero-based budgeting. At that point, we are looking at every cost coming in and kind of challenging, and if there's something new you want to roll into it, you got to say, okay, well, are you looking at every other cost to make sure that it's valid? If you're adding new stuff, typically that's going to take the place of something. So it kind of forces them with those cuts to have those hard conversations sooner than later.
If I can add something to that too. I think one of the things we do too, I don't know if you can hear me with this, is we look for what we can maybe spend with our federal grants money that, first, that's an allowable expense. And, be able to do that, because that also, we always say, saves the general fund, which you don't want to do then if you start that with the general fund and then try to spend it through the federal, that's supplanting. And so we've done a really pretty good job about utilizing those funds first, and then, of course, couple that with, I call it habitual budgeting. People are used to certain things being in the budget, and we're moving in the direction of, what is really being actually spent, and then really the zero-based budgeting is really building your budget based on your need in that. So that's transitioning for that.
Yeah. And the other big cut within that, obviously, is accounting for the expenditures tied to the foundation and the community schools pulling out of that. Obviously, if you don't have the funds rolling in, you don't have to have the expenditures rolling out. So, then that being said, the purchase service estimate for fiscal year 23 and 24 are flatlined at $7.4 million. For fiscal years 25 and 26, like Dr. Reed said, we are looking at ESSER funding to try and offset a lot of that. ESSER comes due or is gone effective starting for a partial year for 25 and 26. So, fully partial 25, full year for 26. So roughly about a $500,000 increase will be assumed rolling back in of costs that are currently being covered under ESSER.
Okay.
No increase is assumed for supply and materials, and no increase for capital outlay. So the outlook overall, ending cash balance is expected to decline during fiscal years 23 through 26 from 17.2 million at the end of fiscal year 23 to an estimated negative balance of 2.2 million at the end of fiscal year 26. This is not unexpected, however, corrective actions will occur over the next couple of years in an effort to reduce anticipated expenses in order to delay as long as possible the need for additional tax revenue. And again, reiterating the fact that this forecast is a worst-case scenario, always assuming increased expenditure and flatlining or decreased revenue. Barring a drastic unforeseen decrease of revenue or increase of expenditures, we should always finish better than projected, and the zero-based budgeting should help that as well. With continued efforts of fiscal scrutiny, I am confident in the direction of the district's finances, even with the unknown effects of COVID-19 and the new state funding formula. Any questions?
Confusing, actually.
No.
When I first started looking at this stuff.
All right, I was gonna say, are you good down there? Because my first time, I was like, well, wait a minute. And we didn't get all of this like this. This actually.
I say I love the summary. Like
Yeah,
I'm used to
this
just
helps
looking
out
at
a
like a
lot.
long spreadsheet of like forecasts
Other
and
than
like
numbers, yes.
unencumbered balances, but I love the summary.
Yes.
Good. Glad you guys like it.
Easy way
Yeah,
to
just
do it.
make it.
Yes, it makes
Explain
a
it to
lot,
seniors.
for someone with ADHD like me, this helps.
Many presentations of glazed over eyes
Thank
that I'm
you.
like, well, I might as well just hit the high points.
I appreciate it. But I also feel like that was one of the highlights of when we interviewed you as well. I will be honest, 'cause I feel that you did present something like this
Yeah.
when you came for your interview. So I appreciate it because it does. It makes it a lot easier for us to understand and control. You know what I'm saying, and what we're voting on and what we're saying within it. So I appreciate it because it makes it actually real because I'm actually able to see it.
And gives you the high points to discuss with the
Exactly.
community if the community has questions.
It's so much easier to answer questions now.
Yeah.
I will say that. That's the honest truth. It's a lot easier to answer questions in regard, especially when we did the levy a couple years ago. So thank you.
Other than those two items this evening, I kind of thought those would be enough. I want to thank Ms. Marshall for such a great presentation. I think it made all of us excited. I was thinking maybe our high school kids were excited too that we're filming it. To be a kid again, that would be fun. And then, of course, the 5-year forecast, so we appreciate that. But other than that, there's no need for, on our part, for executive session. And that concludes our discussion items for this evening.
We have no need for executive session either. Can we get a motion to adjourn at 6:18?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Lee and Ms. Ryan, any questions or comments? May we get a roll call, Mr. Hill?
Ms. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Ryan?
Aye.
Mrs. Jones?
Aye.
Ms. King?
Aye.
All right, thank you all for joining us this evening, and we will see you at our next meeting on the 24th. That's next week.